Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Fawn.
What's up, everybody? It's Herschel Fawn from High School Top 200, and this is the Monday morning meeting. Welcome back again for another day, for another episode of First 15 Rugby here in New Zealand. Get everything out of the way. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, my YouTube page, my Facebook and Instagram, all High School Top 200 or HS Top 200. Subscribe to the website, $5 a month. We'll get you all the information that you need for First 15 Rugby and what's happening all around the country with players and teams and where everyone's sitting, scenarios, things like that. And even with the rep teams coming up, it's going to have a bunch of that stuff coming up too. But it's $5 for a subscription for the month. It's not it's not a free login or anything like that. I'm saving up some kupes to pay for that to be changed. But yeah, it's not free, and I'm sorry for the confusion of the way that they did it and worded it, but it's not for free. It's $5. So skip a coffee for the day and subscribe to my website, hstop200.com. And get all the information you want, all the rankings from year 11s to year 13 rankings, also school rankings around the country as well. There's probably a lot more that we have to talk about today, and I kind of want to get into it because I know that with everything coming down to sort of the last. Everyone's into their finals, like the Super 8's into their finals, the Mars Toyota Cup is into their finals. Today, CNI will figure out what their semi-finals is going to be. Auckland's got one more round. North Harbour's got one more round. Wellington's got their their semi-finals set out, and so, probably a bit more depth of like some of the top teams or what's going on, because now that we're at this point, I think we can talk a lot about the injuries that are going on, and it's hard too because I know that Phoenix down in Otago and Otago boys suffered another loss in the weekend, and I kind of know that, sometimes you don't want to sort of, I guess, pin everything on like one player. But I think for Otago boys, it's kind of different, right? Otago boys with, I think you can admit that they've had some struggles in the past years. They haven't been as strong as they'd like to be. They had some coaching issues that I'm glad that they put it right and they got back to what they should be, and then now it's getting the boys to buy into not buy into, but like settle into like what is needed of them. I think sometimes when you look at teams and you look at, I guess, a makeup of the team, you kind of look at certain players, right? And Otago is kind of like one of those teams as well, where they do base a lot around, I guess certain players, and Phoenix Tapatu is probably that player for like Otago boys that they do it for. And I mean like he's not the only one, because Rota's there. They've still got Joe Parker. Both Isaiahs play a really good. Matthew's great as well. Cortez, Alex Drummond. They have a lot of players, but Phoenix to me is kind of the one that they really, really do rely on. And I think because you can see it in these last couple of games, like Phoenix against, he started against King's High School. I guess halfway through the first half, he went off and he was holding his arm. I think that's what's wrong is his arm. And then he didn't play on Saturday, but he was their main go-forward ball carrier. And pretty much every time he touched the ball, he made ground, and he was always a player that you really have to concentrate on. And now that he's not there, I feel like Otago struggle in that area. And they struggle with, it's almost like when Phoenix is gone, the confidence is kind of gone too. And it shouldn't really be that way, not for like an Otago side. And I think you kind of get used to who all your main guys are, and then guys that are selected to fill those gaps maybe come up with, I guess, a lack of confidence to fill the gap. Because and sometimes like players, especially young players, feel like they need to do exactly what that guy did, whoever you're filling in for, when it's not normally the case. Like the case is usually like coaches will bring in players to fill that position, but then make it a bit different, because you can't, like, coaches don't expect players to play exactly by the same player that they left out, especially when you're someone like Phoenix, and like what he brings. Like, he's not an average kind of ball runner. He's exceptional at ball running. He's exceptional at putting his power and his weight and his strength behind a run ball or a tackle or cleaning out. Like, he does that kind of effect. And so I don't feel like the coaching staff is asking those boys to fill in and be that, but I think the boys have this wrong way of thinking about why they're there in that position. And I kind of saw it a little bit in that Kings game. I feel like they lost their confidence in that forward pack a bit because he wasn't there. You definitely could see it in the John McGlashan one on Saturday, and it's sad because like they are such a talented side, but they are thinking like they're one-dimensional when they're really not. And they have slipped from first place to third place in that competition. And I kind of feel like Rox is probably going to have to kind of take control over that. Alex is probably another one that I'll turn to, him and Matthew. And I think Matthew Edinburgh has gone to number 8. I think that's what it was on Saturday. He was at number 8. Isaiah, Sam Chapman's back. So it'll be Isaiah, Maoli, not Muffy. And then it's Sam at 7, and then it's Matthew at 8. I'm sure that's what it was. I got to check, but like I feel like even that 3 is good enough. Sam has making Highlanders last year and then moving over to Otago Boys this year. He should be extra confident. They should have extra confidence because he's there too, and he just needs to make himself known as well, and not be so, not intimidated, but have that extra pressure, and not to feel the pressure, just to go out and play himself and be himself, and how he was selected to under 18s Highlanders last year. And that's all he needs to do, is just have that same kind of confidence and have that same kind of gameplay, and not to play too far out of what he's expected or is expected of him. But I don't like that Otago is playing this way. Not just because I'm a fan, but because I know that they can play better. I think that's the worst feeling about it, is that they can play better. They're just not doing it. I think Alex has had some strong games up front, and I guess if you're going to try and figure out what you want from, I guess, that front row, where it's not Siosiasi, like it's not him. Taitalea is probably the other one that's a solid starter along with Alex, and I kind of like that pairing too. But I think that they got to kind of figure it out somehow. Southland Boys is definitely the most challenging one right now, and they're probably the ones that you're going to have to beat, no doubt. But I think that they got to kind of remember that it's one thing winning your competition, but then you got to go the next step and then beat whoever's up in Christchurch. And right now, it's looking like Southland's going to be there, and they're going to be going up to Christchurch or either to Nelson or whatever it's going to be, and they're going to have to play them and step up. Otago, to me right now, don't look like that team. And Southland has done everything that you've asked of them, and a little bit more, to be that representative. So even as of right now, I mean, like, Southland put up 100 points on Saturday, and South Otago is not a team you should put up 100 points on. Like, they're not as good as Southland, not even close, but like, I didn't think it was going to be 100 points. That's just massive. That's huge. And so, like, you can just tell how good the side is. I'm trying to get a copy of that game from that Southland game, but yeah, that's just a lot. That's just too much, eh?
Go, go, go. Come on, Hastings! Here you go. Go, Potiphar! Go, Potiphar! Go, Potiphar, yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo!
St. Bede's went to Nelson and they got beat. Christchurch played St. Thomas, and so we've got a Christchurch Boys and Nelson final. And I'm not too sure, eh? I am leaning towards Nelson College. I think because Christchurch Boys bugged me when they lost to Marlborough. You know, I didn't think. I guess because I didn't give. You know, I didn't give them that. I guess that respect that Marlborough, I guess, deserved. I mean, but I expected a lot out of Marlborough this year, and to me, they kind of underperformed all year to me for what kind of team that they have. And I know that they've got a lot of those players who are of age to come back. Whether they do or not, it's a different story, but I know that they have a lot of those guys able to come back. Now, if everyone came back that was of age to come back, Marlborough should probably be one of the strongest teams in the competition, by a long shot. They should be a top 4 finish in that, in the Miles Toyota, if everybody comes back that's of age to come back. And they're going to be stacked in pretty much every single area of that field. And then there's auxiliaries. They'll have a solid type 5. They'll have a loose trio that's experienced. They'll first 5 and halfback that have played together, and they're going to have, even though they're going to be new to starting because Hugh's still there, they're going to have a midfield that's solid, as well as a back 3 that are all good runners, all good play with speed. But this year, I kind of thought this was their year to step up, especially when they had someone like Hugh, who would be all right to. They had Hugh and Flynn, Thomas, and John and guys like that who are veteran guys in that team. Cohen was another one, but they just didn't. To me, didn't really perform like I thought they would. And so, when Christchurch Boys lost to them, I kind of thought like, oh man, well, that doesn't say too much about Christchurch boys either. And I even talked about it too, in terms of like Christchurch boys had to be that team that watched out. They had to watch out for this weekend and play against St. Thomas, and St. Thomas almost pulled it off. And so going into this Nelson game, and they're going to have to travel up to Nelson. Nelson's going to have a stacked side that is really healthy. They're all playing really good rugby. Their only loss has been in that, at that quad tournament, and they lost to Whanganui, who's a really good side. But leaning-wise, I'm leaning towards what Nelson can do. Ollie Inch is probably the guy that I'm probably leaning towards in terms of the one that's going to lead them. His kicking game has been great so far. He runs when he needs to run. He doesn't overthink things. He doesn't push. He doesn't, he doesn't really chance a lot of stuff, because he's just so sure of what he sees and what he plays to. And so I'm really happy that he's like that, because with the side that he's on, he could really panic and play in an erratic way, but he just stays so calm in what he does. And even when he gets under pressure, like Ollie's, Harry Inch was like one of those kind of guys that is able to take hits and just gets up straight away. He's just one of those hard fellas that just takes a big hit, gets up, sets up for the next play, and just carries on like nothing. It's probably all stored in his mullet of his, but I mean, like, everything that he does, like, I've never seen, like, I've seen majority of their games this year. And I don't remember seeing him have actually a terrible game where nothing went right for him. So, and I kind of see him and Blake Ligard from Westlake Boys, who's the first five. Like, those two to me are probably the front runners for first five next year. And what they're able to do, like, just so, both of them are just so controlled, and so, they're so sure and confident of what they can do, and then it just seems to work out. And so Harrison's probably the one that, from Nelson, is the one that I'm looking at to have a really good game next week, and probably lead that side to a win. I mean, they have Sione in the front row. I like the look of Murphy and Moi Moi in the front row, along with Blake. Those guys are the ones, to me, who get through a lot of hard work. I think Moi Moi's probably the surprise one, but I think that he's solid enough that he'll be a contending prop next year. I think Blake Craddock, who's the hooker, when you see him running around, he just gets through so much work. Maybe a little undersized, but I still think that he's good enough to get it done, so I don't really kind of class it as a problem. The back three with Salmaki, Dane, and Tainer. And Tainer's back now from injury. He played just this Saturday. Him coming back at number 8, having Dane on 7, and then Salmaki at 6. And Salmaki just has massive impacts on games, and just his running style is just really, really, really hard to stop, and just a strong, powerful, explosive runner. And he just shows it every single game too. And he's kind of the reason why next year that I think Nelson College is going to be another hard team to beat, because you've got Moi Moi coming back, you got Salmaki coming back, you got Tainer coming back, you got Harrison coming back. Another big time guy that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. I'll think of him later. But those guys are the ones that I think are going to carry this team next year. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on them, but I feel like they have enough. They have enough good forward packs, and then are just really good control in that back line. And so even if they don't get it done this year, then like next year is probably gonna be the year for them. Christchurch, I think, when you look at it, those guys dropping 2 games this year, like the last one was just terrible. But you got Sam Giltrap back. I think Manua Letui. Letu is probably going to be. He's going to be the main one in that team, I think. Mo's probably. Yeah, he's probably. I don't know, like between him and Eli Odin Ryan from Palmy are probably who I like the most at hookers. Oh, actually, Caleb Tapara is probably the other one from St. Peter's, Cambridge as well. Are probably the 3 that I really, really like at hooker. But I think they're like, I think Christchurch boys have to have a full squad that's like Kane being in there, Sam being in there, George Steele, Jake, having Finn back is like another big one at 6, having him back, James Moore is another one. They had Marshall Blakely in there too. I don't know, because I like James. To me, I'm just a fan of James Moore, and like wherever he plays, to me it's just like, like he's just going to do whatever he needs to do, and he'll just get it done for them. And so those are the guys, and then you got Will Haig. But I think George and Jake Bush-Ward are going to be the key in that back line. And I don't think that without that midfield pairing, that they can get away with a lot of the things that they can do without those 2 being there. And I know they moved them around a little bit, but I like them in the midfield. I don't know if they're going to play them in the midfield, but I like them in the midfield. I think those 2 as a sort of a 1-2 punch, or, you know, one draw and pass, one wrap around the other, things like that. I think those 2 make everything work with Will, you know, whether he's going to play 9 or 10, wherever they put him, you know, just getting the ball to those guys in the back line. Just go through them. I would just go through them most of the time. And just see what happens, And just see what happens, because it's a hard one for when you play against Nelson College and the defense that they... I've seen them push up 3 and 2 outside of a ruck, push them up real fast, kind of have another guy sit behind a little bit and just, you know, waiting for those cutbacks, things like that. I would rather have James and Finn, you know, George, guys like that. Really take the ball up strong and maybe play more direct rather than play angles, and just take it to them and see what happens. Because even though you do have Muffy and Moi Moi there, like I think that you can sort of isolate those guys. I think so. And then you'll have to make sure that Dane and Taina sort of play an extra space on defense, just so it just minimizes those guys and what they can't do, and then just make them have to cover more space and then kind of just judge, I guess, your playing options based on where those guys help out at. Because Dane and Taylor, to me, do most of the tackling out in the open. They cover a lot of space. So Maki, even though he puts on bigger hits, he's just not as mobile as those other two. And so, for me, I'll be like, I'll sort of watch out for where those two go, and then sort of find out where they compensate and just sort of attack there. That's kind of how I would do it anyway. And those boys, I guess Christchurch is just going to have to figure out what their game plan is for that, and just work off that, and then hopefully the boys just make good decisions. In terms of like who I'd pick, right now I'm picking Nelson, just because of how well they've gone in this competition, and they got home advantage. They don't have to travel, anything like that. And so to me, it's just like kind of, I'll go with that team. More consistency. Don't have to travel that far. And well coached. And so I don't know. I'm looking at them.
Come on, Hastings. Oh, nice. Nice. Good, Sean. Nice, Sean. Woo! Yes, go!
Now the Wellington Comp, now that the Wellington Comp has finally figured out what their top four is, so they've got Scots and Hibs playing in one, and then it's got Silverstream and Wellington College in the other. Now, to me, this is a lot more clear cut of who's going to win, and I've picked straight from the start where Scots and Stream are going to be in the finals. I think if I had to pick who would be the closer team to losing, Stream would be the closer team to losing to Wellington College than Hibs is to beating Scots College. And that's not a dig at Hibs, that's more about what Scots College has and how they play. And they've always been a fast-paced team that don't really wait for things to set up. They always go on broken play. They always go against being disorganized, and if you're not fast to react to penalties or kicks or penalty kicks or anything like that, Scots College just play off that kind of stuff. So to me, if Hibs are going to try and play at that speed or play at that kind of situation, they just can't. They just don't have the players to do that, and then to counter it, I don't really know what they have to counter it. So if I was picking anyone to win out of at the closer game would be Stream and Wellington College. If Stream don't actually win, if Stream loses that game, that's a massive upset. And it's not like Wellington College can't beat them, I just don't think that they will. I don't think that they have that much of an organised team as what Silverstream does. And I'm not sure if they have enough guys on Wellington College to match up well with what those guys that are on Silverstream. And that's kind of, and I'm talking about the forwards and the backs. I think Silverstream are just way too good. I think Silverstream has pretty much found a comfortable position that they are in, they've found this rhythm that they play in, that they are able to, I guess, really pick out how they want to play. And because to me it was like, whoever they had, playing. I mean, because like Ollie Cuff and Maui for 1 at 9 and 10, they control everything. And the thing that I like about Ollie Cuff is that he doesn't, he just doesn't wait around. Like there's been times where he's just tapped and gone, even though he's by himself. I don't feel like that's his mistake. I think he just sees things that the other guys don't really see, and then he may be isolated, but he's made the right play. No one else has just kept up with him. And I like the fact that he plays at that speed and that looseness that I just wish the other guys would sort of back him up. Maui's probably, I don't know if I want to say Form 10 right now, but he hasn't made a mistake. Like, he plays well every single game. Even against the bigger games that he's played, like against Palmy and that. And New Plymouth, he's played really good in all these games. But David Tukulatawa is probably the guy that I think has been maybe the best on that team so far this year. Always consistent, always plays strong, always plays hard, very, very physical and explosive, but also not greedy at the same time. And to me, he kind of plays with, there's no glory in the try, it's really in how do we get it and if it's done as a team. Like he's made plays where I felt like he could finish it off himself, but sort of just gave the ball up just to make sure, like things like that. Alex Hewitt in the forwards, Jackson Mendoza, obviously. Some of these guys are the main fellas in their team. Braden Soy, he's just a massive ball runner and physically does what he needs to do. Really good, but sometimes quiet. Like I've noticed, sometimes he gets a bit quiet in games, and we kind of don't know that he's around until he makes this big massive break, and and then whenever he does, it's like a 20-meter break. Like he always does something that's so beneficial to his side and that gets him going. But I was like, oh, maybe it's just me not watching him, but he's another key player to their team, and I think that all these key players in this team, they all, to me, because like Scott's is the one that has to be beat. I think they're the strongest right now, and Silverstream have to beat them. Like I don't feel like it's Scott's College. It's their game to lose. I think it's their competition to lose, and Scots have all the pressure to me. They're the ones that have all the pressure on their team to win. Silverstream don't, but Silverstream also has a lot of pride in terms of like, regardless of what my rankings are, whatever they feel like they're like, no, even if they lost the last game, they go, nah, we're still better than them. It's kind of like that kind of thing. So to me, like, Scots has all the pressure. Silverstream just needs to come in and play what game that they have, and then, I think one of those quiet ones in that team, and because the front row has been so good, and they've had Heath there, they've had Noah and Jericho. Kobe McDougall is probably to me, the better forward front rower that they have. And to me, every time he's played really good, it seems to lift the team as well. So count on him to have a good game, and I think that they'd be all right. And like I said, I think that they're going to play Wellington College. They're going to beat them, and I think in the finals, all the pressure's on Scots College, and they just need to go out and play their game. Silverstream just need to play their game, and then force him to make some mistakes. Scots College is the one that has to play a perfect game. They're the ones that have a little pressure on them.
Yeah, yours, Walker. Run! Run, Hastings. Nice, Sean. Come on.
In the CNI competition, so everyone is set. You got Hamilton boys. You got St. John's Hamilton. They're number ones. You got Whanganui Collegiate, who are number 2. You got Fielding High School, who's number 3, and then the number 4 spot. It actually goes St. Peter's, Cambridge, St. Paul's Collegiate. Then it's Wesley College. And Wesley has to play St. John's in their last game, because that was the one that got cancelled got postponed when all the roads were closed just on this last one. And so they haven't been able to, get that game going. The worst thing is that Wesley lost on Saturday, and I already talked about this. I was like, even though they're a better team than Francis Douglas, you can't expect to go down to Francis Douglas to just win down there. And like I said, Francis Douglas is not a bad side. They're just in a hard competition, just like in the Super 8 and just like in the 1A. If they played in like the Wellington College, in the Wellington competition, they would be in the playoffs right now. That's how good this side is, and how hard this competition is in the CNI. And so when Wesley went down there, Wesley ended up losing. And I know that, I've seen the comments and all this kind of stuff, and some stuff seemed weird, but I mean, you got 70 minutes to figure that stuff out. You got 70 minutes to do it. I know that Wesley's going to be pissed off, but they still have a shot. Wesley, no doubt, is going to beat St. John's. But they have to beat them with that bonus point. And if I was Wesley, I would not let up any chances. And if that scores at 45, try and make it 50. It's at 50, try and make it 60. If it's 60, let's hope for 70. And just go as much as you can. Do not relax. Do not hold back. Give everything to them. And I think if you're a true competitor, and St. John's will be the same. I don't think St. John's would want a team to just go easy on us. I don't think that they'll want a team to go easy. It's like, give them more respect and play your best so that they know what they're getting is the best. But Wesley have to win this to get into, but they have to win this with a bonus point to jump St. Paul's Collegiate and to jump St. Peter's School as well. And then with that game today, it's going to be, if it finishes like that, it'll be St. John's playing Wesley and Hamilton, which is the best scenario for them besides playing at home, is that they play in Hamilton where it's not that far. It just means that they've travelled 3 weeks in a row. But it'll be St. John's versus Wesley, and then Whanganui Collegiate and Fielding will be playing off. And then I think, again, all the finals are going to be played all on the one day down in Topol, which I think is such a smart idea. I think it's such a cool idea. I think the Super 8 should do something like that too, and do it on this week. You know, do all the grading games, everyone play again against each other, and, you know, put them in a grading game, and then, you know, have it all at one place. Have it as like a sort of a breakup party at the, you know, the last game, and have the finals. But yeah, I like that for the way that the CNI do that too. And so you just gotta have to wait for Wesley. I think that's all it is. Everyone's just waiting for Wesley, and then after that they'll put them into their thing. So hopefully today we get that result. I think they're playing at 12 down in Hastings. And I'm glad they actually had the game, because I know that there was a bit of discussion over not having the game, all that kind of stuff, but I'm glad they're having the game. Hamilton boys are playing Napier boys again, playing in the finals, playing here in Hamilton. You know, that Hastings game was a really hard one, and the Hastings game was exactly what I thought that game was going to be. But I wasn't too sure who was going to win it. I knew that it was going to be tough all the way through, but I actually wasn't too sure who was going to win. And then when Kalis and when Ollie came on in that second half, you really did see it change. And it does make a big difference when it's on a dry patch, you know, and then when you're on a dry pitch like they were yesterday or on Saturday, it makes a big massive difference. And like Hamilton Fields, as much as it rains, never gets muddy, it never gets, you know, sloppy or anything like that. Like I've been to a game at Hamilton boys where I think one time it was against St. Paul's, where it rained the whole game and there was still no puddles, there was still no mud patches, you know. Scrums for the most part were really, really good, and, you know, so you need a place like that for Hamilton to play, and Hamilton just do a lot better when it's a drier track. So Napier coming up here, I'm not too sure what's going to happen. I'm not too sure how this game is going to go. But if Ollie and Kalis end up starting, I think that Hamilton boys are going to win. And if Napier's not careful, it's going to be a pretty big score. It's going to stay close up to about halfway, and then before halftime, Hamilton boys like to score before and after halftime straight away. If Napier boys can keep it tight even after halftime, you know, into the 50th minute, then I feel like they can ride it out and win. But if not, and it starts to get away, stopping the bleed isn't that easy when you're playing Hamilton boys and they just keep pulling in tries and points and penalties and things like that. So it's going to be interesting. I'm picking Hamilton boys, but if Napier can get to like the 50th minute and still remain within 5 or have a lead by 3, I think that Napier can win that game. The 1A is, there's only one more spot left, and St. Kennigan's, who's playing Mags, that's their last game, is against Mags. St. Kennigan's number 1, Sacred Heart's number 2, and they've got Auckland Grammar, and Auckland Grammar is actually number 3 on 39 points. And so those first 3 teams are fine. The last spot is what everyone's going for, and that's De La Salle, St. Peter's, and Kelston Boys. De La Salle and St. Peter's are both on 33 points. Kelson Boys is on 31 points, and Kelson Boys need a win, and they need De La Salle to lose. St. Peter's just need a win, and hopefully win off a bonus point, and also need De La Salle to lose as well. De La Salle just need to win, and then they're fine. But if I was De La Salle, I would try and win with a bonus point and try and get that for and against all the way up there. And I've said this before, and they've had to have this attitude with the last 3 games that they played. De La Salle just can't get rid of that humble stuff. Get rid of that play with respect and all that kind of stuff. I think that they really need to smash King's College. I think that they need to put everything in it. And I'm not saying it in a way that I don't like King's College at all, because I actually really like going there. I actually like watching their team. But for De La Salle, who's in this situation right now going into the playoffs, they need to play with that huge confidence, that huge ego, that huge, chip on their shoulder, and not let off. The same thing with Wesley College. They have to try and score 30 to score 40, just get to 40 and score 50, and not let up on defense. Even if you're winning by so much, don't let anything through. Hit hard, hit as hard as you can, be real vicious and violent, run with so much power and all that kind of stuff. Clean out with everything that you've got, and just put everything into the game, and sort of send like a message out to St. Kitts and even Sacred Hearts. Just like, yeah, if you guys get to play us, this is what we're going to be like, and we're going to be like this for 70 minutes. I don't think De La Salle should take their foot off, and I don't think De La Salle should relax. I think, to be honest, I'm one of those guys that I just don't think De La Salle should make jokes on the field and play amongst each other when you're winning. I think everyone should keep everybody honest and on task and go, hey, stop messing around, man. Who cares if we're on 35? Let's get 40. Let's make this 42. Let's make this 45. Let's make this 49. Let's make this 51. And just keep going. Stay focused. Frank should pull up his boys. Lala should pull up the boys. Ron, all those guys. Grab all the boys together. Make sure that he just runs the ball. Runs like all those forwards. Getting them all up to the line. Smashing everyone and just controlling everything. James is the one to me who I feel like needs to put the pressure on, lift the speed of the game, and just play with no kind of handbrake or anything, and then just march his boys up the field. I kind of want to say that James is the key to this game and making sure that they score as much points as they can. And I think he's the voice that everyone needs to hear, even though you've got Gabe in there, even though you've got Frank in there. James to me is the one that I feel like if they want this ball to fly around, he's the guy that does it. And I think he's the one to yell at Gabe to go, we're not kicking it, man, let's hold this ball. And Gabe's got this massive kick too. Like, I don't know how he's got this really good kicking game, but I feel like they should hold their ball and just run it. And I feel like they should have smashed through. And then this is just me. This is what I would just want to see from it. And then when Frank gets the ball, just follow through with Frank, because he just makes things happen, But Sean needs to carry it. Sean needs to have a really good game. Ron, Lala have to have a really good game. Juwan's the same. That front row, how big and strong that they are. The hooker, who I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's another one who I think has been playing so good. But they just need to be relentless with everything, and they can't lose focus. And this is going to be solid if they go to a second year in a row into the semi-finals, and they deserve to be there. That's the other thing. They deserve to be there. And I think they need to play like it too. And I am picking them to go through. And the thing is that I feel like if See, I think De La Salle can beat St. Kinnigan's. And they almost did at the beginning of this year. But I feel like they can beat St. Kinnigan's. I don't know if Auckland Grammar can beat Sacred Heart, but I think that De La Salle can beat St. Kinnigan's. And I don't know when the last time De La Salle was in the finals, but if they can make it back to the finals this year, I think this is going to be a pretty good shot for them this year to make it back to their finals. I don't know. I don't like North Harbour. I don't like talking about North Harbour because it's just so unfair right now. Westlake boys is just so far ahead. Roswell did really good actually and I know people are not going to look at it and be like, that's a respectable score. But if you watch the North Harbour Comp, it's like, that's respectable. That's actually playing really good against someone like Westlake boys. And so, it's Westlake boys, Massey, Rosmini, and then Takapuna. And it's going to stay like that. That's what the semi-finals is going to be. And the finals should be... It's either Massey or Rosmini is going to be in the finals, I think. That's what I think that it's going to be. Either Massey or Rosmini. And, I would even call it now that Westlake are going to win this. They're going to win this competition. They just need to play through all the games. Stay focused on what their goal is and blah, 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 and whatever. But then they got to get prepared for that... whoever wins at Auckland and the 1A in Auckland, and then that's going to be like their target to me. But James Cameron and guys like Tiger, Blake, I kind of feel sorry for some of the guys that I don't know, like I kind of wish, I think I talk about this a lot anyway, is that I wish that Westlake boys had a lot more better teams to play that they can compare themselves to. I wish that they were able to, especially like this year, get more competition, because they're on such a run and they're on such a good team, and I think that they know it as well. But I wish I had more teams to play. It just wasn't challenging for them. I just don't feel like it was challenging for them. It's almost like, Massey and Whangarei boys, you guys put your team together, Rosmini and Takapuna, you guys put your teams together and then play us. And that's the level that we need to be playing at, and that's the level of teams that we need to be playing, is by putting two teams together and going, give us this every single week so that we can go off and play Auckland after this and be somewhat prepared with that skill level, that kind of thing. And I'm not trying to be a dick to those North Harbour teams, but you tell me then, am I not right? Are they not that good? I think this was the lowest points that were scored, and you guys held them in the 30s. Was it 32-12? I think that's what the score was. Anyways, something like that. And that's like the lowest that they've scored this year. So Westlake boys just have to wait. But hopefully they get prepared. Hopefully they have good headouts and stuff like that, because I've always talked about Westlake joining, I think Westlake, Rosmini, Massey, for the most part, should all be in the 1A in Auckland. They should just join their stuff together. They should, for the most part, be one in the 1A, because they're consistently good every single year. I don't know what happened to Manurewa this year, but, those three at least, consistently every single year, they're really, really good. And they need those kind of challenges. And for the Blues region, that's probably what they should be doing. is having those competitions joined together. Anyways, that's me for today's pod. You know, I'm just looking forward to everything. Looking forward to all these finals that are coming up. You know, waiting to see who comes out on top. Rep teams are going to be selected soon too. I'm going to put out my own rep teams. I'm going to put out my rep teams. My under 18 region teams are going to come out first, and then I'm going to do, after that's picked, I'm going to pick my New Zealand secondary schools, New Zealand Barbarians, my Māori team, Samoan, and a Tongan team of who they should be. Now, I don't have no selection, you know, I have no sway in anything like that. These are all just my opinions and all that kind of stuff. But still fun to pick them, still fun to, you know, get them out there. I still like the concept teams of Samoa and Tonga having Barbarian teams here in New Zealand, so you can get more rep players playing at a higher level. You know, things like that. Even if they're warm-up games for New Zealand before they leave, and then, you know, Samoa Barbarians, Tongan Barbarians, and the New Zealand Barbarians can all have a game against each other. You know, have their own little, you know, their own little comp here as well with the Māori team. You know, that would be a good competition. If New Zealand had go to Australia, which I heard that's what they're doing, is the New Zealand team's going to Australia, have the New Zealand Barbarians play the under 18 Māoris as well as the Samoan Barbarians and the Tongan Barbarians. I'll pick them. I'll help you even select them. I'll show you all the guys that are Samoans and Tongans from around the country, and, you know, you would just have a big trial. That's what it should be. Put it all together. Anyways, love you all. Herschel Frun, High School Top 200. Later, ball.